In this video, we continue our tour of Manifold Future. This is part 3. We're going to continue our look at editing by taking a look at how to create multi-branched objects. Multi-branched objects are nothing all that complicated. It's how we create, say, areas with holes in them or with additional islands, and how we can also create systems of lines that are the same line object but which branch off into different directions. One reason they're called branches. We're looking at Manifold Future here. Everything that we're doing applies to Future Viewer as well. We're looking at a map which has one layer in it, a drawing layer that's currently blank. It has two other layers that are right now inactivated. They're not displayed, which are image server layers. But for now, we're just going to work in the drawing. And we're going to begin by creating an area by clicking on this Create Area tool. And we start by creating the outline of an area. With each click, we grow the outline. And since I want to create a branch next, I'm going to, instead of right-clicking to create the area, I'm going to shift-click to create that final coordinate. And now anything else that I click will be the next branch. And if I create the next branch inside of the area, I create a hole in the area. I'm going to shift-click there. Let's create another branch here. And shift-click to end that. And I'll create one more branch which is outside the area. When we create an additional branch to an area object that is outside of the area, we end up creating an island outside of the area. And now I will right-click to create the area. There we go. I formatted this drawing in advance so that it shows uses a fill color of that light green for areas. Now to take a look at what we've actually done here, I can go back into default mode, Alt-click on the area, choose coordinates, and that will show us where the coordinates are and will allow us to enter them. You can see that when we created the area here, at the end of each branch there's this little end branch icon that appears. So if I click here just after that, that's the first coordinate of the next branch, and if I click just after the icon down here, that's the first coordinate of that branch, and so on down to the first coordinate of the island branch. Now let's take a look at what's involved in creating a line. If we want to create a multi-branch line, I'm going to alt-click in the empty part of the drawing to deselect any of that stuff. And let's now use the Create Line tool to create a line. I'm going to click, click, click. Let's turn snapping back on by hitting the space bar. There we go. And now I'm going to click here. Let's actually create that as an independent line object. And what I will do is I will add a branch to that after the fact. So, okay, now we have a line object here, and I'm going to Alt-click on it. And it's just one object, that's one branch, kind of a conventional object. What I can do if I want, is to click on this last coordinate here, either by clicking on it in the map or by clicking on it here in the coordinates pane, coordinates tab, and I will press the insert button. I'm going to insert a new coordinate after that, and now anything that I insert here is going to start as a new branch. Since we have snapping on, it snaps to the previous branch. It won't snap within a branch because that'll make it too complicated to draw points that are too close to each other, but it will snap to the previous branch. So I'm going to start the first click there, which is coincident with the end of the first branch. Now I'm going to turn off snapping so I can click here, there, and we'll grow the line this way. And now I'll click shift-click to end that branch. I will hit the spacebar again to turn snapping back on, click once, snapping back off, and we'll grow the second branch in this direction. Now right-click, and that creates that object. To see what we have, again, I'll turn that off so we can see the line more fully. This is the first branch here that we created. Here's the second branch that we created, and here's the third branch. They're all the same line object. And we can prove that by control-clicking on this part of it here, and we see the whole thing is selected. If I deselect it, and I control-click on this one down here, again the whole object is selected. I'm doing a control-alt-click, by the way, to deselect it. Control-click down here, and the same thing, the whole thing is selected. So as you can see, it's all one line object. Great. Now there's another way to use the insert button, and that is to add coordinates to an existing object. Let's say right here in this area we decide that this bit right here is a little bit lumpy and we'd like to add a coordinate right there to smooth it out, or perhaps a coordinate right here to smooth that out a little bit more. Well, that's easy to do. I'm going to alt-click on the area, and then here in coordinates, let's find that, well, let's click on that handle right there on that vertex, and then there it's selected. And now if I click Insert, you see a new row has opened up, and that new row will be right here if I click on that dot. Right click, and we've just added a new dot here. If we like, we can do another one of those. And so there, that one here is selected, that row is selected. Click Insert, and now new dots that new clicks that I do will add coordinates to there. I can switch on the fly to previous ones. So here's this one there. Hit Insert, and now I'm inserting up in this region. I will right click to accept all this. And if I like, I can move these coordinates around here to make the area look a little less lumpy. And when I'm dragging and dropping coordinates in these various places, and notice that pan and zoom still work, I can reshape the other branches too. So, for example, to make this hole look a little bit less lumpy. When I'm happy with all that, I can click, and I see the preview, how everything looks, and click Update Record, and the area is instantly reshaped. Let's now take a look at how we might use all this in real life. And I'm going to alt-click on an empty spot so that nothing is selected now. Control-A to select all the objects. Delete to delete them all. Now we're back to a fresh blank drawing, and I'm going to double-click on the Google Maps satellite layer so you can see where we're located. What we've done is we've zoomed into part of France here in the Luxembourg Gardens. There's the Luxembourg Palace. And I'm going to trace this octagonal pond that's in the gardens. And we're going to trace over to create an area. So we're going to click, click, click. And the reason I'm using this octagonal pond is that when you're doing a demo, it's a lot easier to click a few times on an octagon and come up with something reasonable than it is to click on a circle and try to make that look even. It's not actually a perfect octagon because you can see right here it's a little indented, and we got to click right there. Now when we're happy with the thing, we can right click on it. Oops. Right click on it, and that'll create the area. What happened there, by the way, is instead of right clicking, I ended up clicking on the mouse clumsily, and then I used this to click back to go back to the previous view. That's actually a kind of a happy accident because it gives us a chance to illustrate that even in the middle of editing, all this other stuff that works with Manifold and Radian is live. That is, we can go back and forward in views, we can pan and zoom, we can zoom in, zoom out, zoom in if it makes it easier to edit something, for example, to trace over a fine detail or whatever. So okay, so great. We've now created this object in the drawing. It's an octagonal shaped area. I can go back here to default cursor mode, alt-click on it, take a look at the coordinates. There it is. Let's say I want to add a hole to it, because let's say I want to open up a hole so we can see this central statue that's in the middle of the pond a little bit better. We can see through this area, by the way, is because previously here in the layers I have set that the opacity of the drawing layer at 50%, so the photographic imagery that is served by the Google Image Server will shine up through those area objects. And notice also this allows us to go back and forth in the various displays, and everything is still live. The coordinates thing is still live. We're still actively working here, actively editing. None of that changed. So I'm going to click on the last coordinate, and then I'll click Insert, and now wherever I click into the object, I'm actually adding another branch to the area, and we can see that here in the preview. If I click Update Record, I've just created a hole in the area. If I like, let's zoom out here a little bit. I can create 2 more branches. This one we will create as islands. So here's that area. The hole. Here's the second branch, which is the hole in the area. I'm going to click on that for the last coordinate, and I'll click Insert. And now let's add another object. We'll click, click, click. Actually, it's the same object. We're adding one more branch. We're going to add this as an island. Shift click there. And now here we'll continue this way. Now I'll right click, and what I've done is I've created an area object. I'll click to turn that off. That has 3 branches. Here's the first branch is the outline of the main area. The second branch is the hole in it. The third branch is this little lunette, and the fourth branch is that little lunette there. We've traced over these elements that are in the Google satellite presentation to add them to the drawing. That's I think pretty much it for the demo. We're running about 11 minutes right now, so that's a long video. That's enough for now. We've seen how to create branched objects. We've seen how to use branches to create holes and islands for area objects. We've seen how to add branches to line objects. We've seen how to use the insert button to not only add branches but also to add coordinates in the middle of an object if we want to reshape that object. And we've learned how to use all that to trace over something, to do something actually useful like tracing over Google, should we ever need to create objects that are in the shape of ponds in the Luxembourg Gardens in Paris. I hope you've enjoyed the tour. We'll continue with more items in future tours, but for now, let's call it a day. And goodbye from Radianland. Well, that was fun. If you want to see more, visit us at www.manifold.net. As always, Manifold delivers the world's most advanced, highest quality spatial products for GIS and DBMS at a low price that you can afford. Once again, that's manifold.net. See you soon.